Okay, so today I'm going to draw a nice, simple female character. Maybe something a bit of a sci-fi, so we'll throw in, I don't know, we're going to keep it simple, but we're going to throw in something really simple. Maybe we'll just make her green skinned. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blank layer. I never like to draw on the canvas straight away, so I'm going to take the canvas, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to not use that. So I've got my blank layer here, and I don't want to draw on a white canvas either, a white background. I hate doing that. So I do it a lot, even though I hate doing it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get just kind of a nondescript color here. I don't want to go on black either. Black can be an awful color. It just sucks all of you in. So it's best to get kind of a neutral color, either blue or a green, and kind of get a neutral shade as well. So something that's not too dark but not too light. Something like this can be absolutely great. Maybe a tad too light. And it's really about personal preference. You know, just what you find comfortable. That is quite nice, so I'm going to take that, I'm just going to lock that layer and create another one on top of that. You know, a lot of people like to do gradients as well, so you could always make that a gradient layer. And I find it's best not to draw on that layer either. But again, personal preference. So I'm just going to take a brush as well. Now I'm drawing on the Wacom Cintiq 27Q HD Touch. Lovely piece of kit. This is the biggest tablet I have ever owned. The remote here means that the express keys are not trapped on the side of the Cintiq. They are in fact all on this lovely remote, which I absolutely adore. Wasn't sure about it at first, but now I do like it a lot. Yep. I will say if I go into the Wacom desktop center here, you will see that I can quickly go to my preferences, my system preferences, which I can also, you know, just come into normally. You know, if I go to here and click here, I can go into this way as well. There are other things in the Wacom desktop center though, which you can access by your applications. There are other things like the updates and the backup and restore your settings, stuff like that. Somebody asked me about it on my YouTube comments, so I thought I'd mention this. But you can see just how customizable the remote is. It's absolutely great. I've got this set up to switch applications like that. There you go. And you can also set these to do anything you want. You know, like I say, that's set up to be a keystroke. So yeah, you can set these up to do anything, and you can set these up to be absolutely different in every single application that you have, which is kind of mind-blowing. So if you use a lot of different applications, this remote can work differently in the different applications that you use. Obviously that means a lot of setting up, but it'll be worth it in the long run. So it's quite important. This also means, I'll just get rid of all this. There we go. This also means for me, I can just grab a brush here, make this darker. I won't go to black, I'll go to almost black. Means for me, I can just press the button and use that to resize my brush. I don't have to press two buttons. There we go. And I can do things on the fly. I can press another button on the remote. You know, this is all, and I've got undo and redo set here. You know, I've got that. It's all, you know, it's all there on the remote. And I can just put it back on the side of the Cintiq. There, brilliant. So I don't have to worry about that, and it's all pre-programmed, and the buttons change when I go into Photoshop or Mischief or anything else. So, cracking. Right, there we go. I just thought I'd mention that quickly. Right, so yeah, on with our fantasy / sci-fi female character. First thing I want to do is I just want to quickly outline a head shape here. So I'm just going to quickly start by putting in a head and neck. Notice what I'm doing is I'm leaving the face to last. Just want to make sure I've got the... I want to have a slumped over, so I'm going to leave that face to last and just make sure that I've got the proportions right before I waste time with facial features. You know, obviously if this was front on, I could just draw the oval like that, but I don't want that getting in the way just yet. So I'm happy with the placement, I'm happy with where everything is. You know, I think that should be something else, but I'll come back to that. There we go. Give her a bottom lip, top lip, nose, eyebrow. There we go. And that's just real quick. Bit of lag on this brush because it's such a detailed brush. Face will need polishing up a bit, but same as that back will need. The jaw's a bit masculine, so I'll need to just, yeah. Her ear will be somewhere there. The hairline kind of coming in like that. So if I give her, say we'll give her a hair like that, and give her some hair down the front. There we go. In fact, I'm just going to shade in. There we go. I'll just shade all of this in real quick. And I can even just grab my eraser. Here we go. Forehead is very manly. There we go. Lovely job. Brilliant. Tell you what, I am just going to grab my eraser again. There we go. And there we go. Nice and simple. Right, okay. I'll just create another new layer on top of that. And what we'll do is I'll just grab some green. Maybe it's a bit too light. There we go. There we go. Bring some in where I know her. Gonna have a bit of shade. There we go. Maybe introduce a bit of auburn where we know the lips will be creeping in. And maybe the eyelids too. There we go. Maybe even some slight white, but we know we're going to have eyes. There we go. And we'll select that green again and just maybe have some slight highlight. There we go. There we go. Maybe a bit on the chin and even down the nose. There we go. Don't know what we're going to do with the hair yet, so I'll just, maybe I'll even add a couple of flecks of green in there. Maybe it make it more of a monotone kind of image. There we go. Choose another green as well. Tell you what, we'll come in behind this colour layer and just put this there. There we go. We'll come in behind the whole image so far and just add this green layer. There we go. Just so we've got none of the background showing through whatsoever. There we go. We can just add that all there. And we've only used one brush so far. We'll even go under the hair. There you go. And so far we've got a very abstract looking green woman, and she does look very abstract indeed. But we can go back to this top layer now, and I'll just add a bit more of a highlight. So select that, make it even lighter. There we go. There we go. There we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to collapse all three of those layers. See how it's my shift button in the middle? There we go. Tell you what, I will bring in my on-screen keyboard. There we go. And I'll flatten those. So now I'm just going to go to Oily Blender, which is one of the blender brushes here, which I've got saved in my blender palette. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my brush, make it a nice size, and start blending these all together. There we go. Now at this stage I'm not going to get the perfect result because I haven't spent long on it, and I'm just dotted down a few colours. I've been working with only a few darks. So it's not really going to work for me perfectly, but all I'm hoping to do is just push things around a tiny bit, just like that. And that's all I really need at this point, is just to soften it up a touch. There we go. So now I'm going to grab my detail airbrush. I'm going to select that green, maybe move it around into the yellowish spectrum a tad now. There we go. See, because what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to blend with the airbrush a little bit. rather than try and blend everything with the blenders, which is a good option, it does work. I'm not going to try and do that. I'm actually just going to blend everything by painting it. More the old-fashioned way. Now, you see me using the actual wheel up here, and the center button has a couple of different options here you'll see flashing up on the screen. So the first one is zoom, so press that and use the wheel there to zoom in and out. Press it again and I can rotate. Now I have my toolbar set horizontally here, which looks a bit odd to some people in Painter, but it works perfectly for me. So I just, when I want this set to the correct rotation, I could go back and I could get it almost right like that. I could go into my options and view and do it that way, but I could just double tap that. But there we go, and I'll go back this way and zoom in all I need there. Right, okay, so I'm just going to come back to here, my brush, and carry on. Again, just what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick colours from around the face that I've already created. And the great thing about having done what I've already done is that I've created an entire palette to work from. So I've got some really dark colours, almost blacks, but I haven't got any blacks in here. And I've got some very light tones as well. I mean, obviously there's some very strange shapes in here, but there are some beautiful little quizzical shapes as well. Now sometimes it's really nice to pull back and paint. Sometimes it's nice to get in really close as well when you're painting. It always just depends on the piece that you're doing at the time. It looks at the moment like she's got a bump up here, so I can just even that out. I'm not too worried about going into the hair yet or anything like that. I mean, this ear's an absolute mess, but at the moment, not too worried. I know I can come back and tidy all that area up. As long as I've got a rough shape in play. There we go. See, there is something in there that's a lot darker than I kind of expect, but never mind. There we go. Right, so this eye now has become a bit weird looking. So I'll just pick a darker colour and just bring in some detailed shape. The eye's going to be one of the focal points. And we'll give her some eyebrows as well. Now, should we give her empathetic eyebrows? Or should we undo that? We could give her more moody eyebrows. Sorry, we can change the shape of the brow. It's her natural brow, this one, later, but we could give her angry brow. Yeah, like that. We could just follow what she has already, which is quite nice. Maybe bring it down a touch. It kind of works, and if we want to keep it simple, what I tend to do in this case is just keep the brush actually quite small, keep my strokes small, and just work like that. I don't tend to use any special brushes or anything like that on something like that. There you go. I'm just going to add a highlight to that top lip. Still got a funny shaped nose, but there we go. Maybe if we build her lips in to deal with that a bit more. There we go. That won't look so bad. And straight away we've got a face that's a little more balanced. Now see, we have got some darker tones creeping in, so the first thing I'm going to do is just balance those into the hair. I don't mind the darker tones creeping in, it doesn't bother me. Quite natural that that should happen when you're overlaying colour like that. There you go. And again, we haven't really done any work down here, so I'm just going to come down and just blend some more in. Again with the greens. And it's down here where we expect to do more smoothing, because there's going to be less detail really flying around, so you expect the skin to be smoother on the arms anyway. There we go. All that we will need to do on this bit is add a bit of darker green. Try and pick something out there on this edge. There we go. And just cap that side of the arm. Lovely. There we go. We could almost do that with a lighter tone as well. But I think for that we could almost go back to this. Just do that. And again go back to that blender. Just smear that in. And that's really successful, so I almost want to do that back there. There we go. Grab our blender. And add it in. Maybe a tad too much there, so I'll just soften that up again. But overall that worked lovely. Okay. Right. That's coming along nicely. Still looks a bit comic booky, which is not the look I'm going for. It's really because we haven't spent any time on the eyes. See, it's nice to have my undo and redo so close to hand there. That really does work well for me. You know, I often kind of trip around, but the texture on the remote feels so nice. You know, it's easy to find the buttons you're looking for. Even if you're like me and you like to move your hand on and off the remote. Now I'm just going to collapse these two layers together. There we go, brought that nose in a bit. Just grab a bit of colour from down there on the shoulder. I'm not quite ready to do a hair yet, but it's one of those things where I may as well just start and get it ready. Just make the initial foray into these pieces. There we go. Here we go, we'll just add a bit more of this on. There we go. The real flat blender always gives me some nice hair strokes. And I'll blend this further in a second, but there we go. I also use this on water and a few other things as well, fabrics, etc. But this is a great brush, especially once you tweak it a bit. There we go. Now I'll just pop that and rotate it a little bit. There we go. And carry on using my brush. There we go. Get some better results out of this brush once I rotate my canvas there. And with the Wacom remote, I don't even have to use the rotate tool. I can just use the remote right there. There we go. Okay, and just come back the other way. I've set this on a really slow rotate. There we go. You can set it super fast, but I prefer it on a really slow rotate. Just gives me a little more control there. Like I say in the settings for the remote, there are a lot of options. Just rotate that a bit more. The good thing is there's a lot of brush settings in Painter, so when you add those to the amount of settings you have in Wacom, well, there you go, automatically you've got a lot to add together. Okay, so I might even be able to add in a bit of colour here from the face to the hair. I'll just go ahead, grab this brush, maybe not that much, just touch like that, and we'll grab our water rake. Not the water rake. There we go. There we go. Just add that in there, into the hair. We could keep doing that in other places as well, down here. Again, just change the size of this brush. It's all about how we add it in. This for me was a bit too much, but pull some of this black back through it. There we go. There we go, just add a splodge of it up there. Grab the blender. And there we go. And a bit down here as well. Maybe even a bit smaller than that. There we go. And try that. Perfect. There we go. That looks nice. So she's coming along nicely. There's a few things that I want to touch up, but she's coming along. So what I'm going to quickly do is jump back to the background. I'm going to zoom out for this. Oops. Just reset my background. And zoom out. I'm going to take my detail brush. Just make it as large as possible. Select the background color. And I'm going to come all the way to black, which I haven't done before. And I'm just going to add in a vignette. There we go. I don't mind coming all the way to black for this, because all I'm going to do, grab that background color again, take it to white, there. All I'm going to do is change that to overlay, and I'm really going to take down the opacity of that. There we go. I could even make that my top layer, so it shadows everything, or keep it underneath. What do you think? I think it works better underneath it. There we go. Oops, don't need that extra layer actually. I'll continue to work on this piece. Now, I've only got a few layers here. Normally I'd work on a lot of different layers. But since this is only a quick sketch, I'm happy to work on just one or two. So okay, this tier doesn't look realistic, so I need to change the shape of that. So we could try and smear that. What we could do is just change the colour. Push this over a bit. If we grabbed a larger smear brush, like that. It seems to work. We can get the rough shape of it there. Obviously, we did our background, so I'll need to just change the size of my brush. Set that up to almost a white. There we go. And I want to kind of fade this all into the same piece here, so you don't really see where this is coming from. There we go. Perfect. And there we go. What I would like to do actually is just bring a touch of hair down there, so that side of her face. There we go. I'll just need to use my detail airbrush there just to quickly bring that in. Now I've added a kind of a faux highlight around the face. I also added that in green as well. So I'm just going to have to blend that out slightly around the hair, which isn't a problem. Oops. Still got my ring there set to rotate, and I just needed to quickly set that to zoom. Now I'm happy with that, and that looks great for me. What I could do is just put another layer on top of that, and say add a bit of a colour on there. That's quite nice. What I might do with it is just I might flip it to behind her like that. There we go. I can even go into the effects, just colors, and reset that so it looks as it did a second ago. I can go through my hues just to try out some different colors there. That's quite nice. So you're giving it a cold blue steel effect. Quite nice. But I want to add a slightly different tone. So I'm going to add in another one over the top of this. And I'm going to keep this kind of orangey tone that I had before. I'm just going to add a touch of this down here. There we go, that looks quite nice. Okay, so I'm happy with how this looks at the moment. I could call that a finished piece, you know, or I could carry on, give her some accessories. What I could do is I could basically grab my basic fill-in brush. I could give her some facial art, which would be kind of cool, you know. You know, I could do that kind of stuff. That would be pretty awesome, you know. I could change it up a bit and give her lots of awesome jewelry. You know, and then detail it. That stuff would be quite cool as well. I could carry on with the hair instead. You know, give her a real vibrant hair color, which would be pretty awesome. You know, there's a million ways I could go with this. I actually do like the hair color. Yeah, I do like the hair color. But yeah, which way do you go? It's up to you. For me, I quite like the piece just like that. The great thing about this is the fact that I've been able to do it on the Wacom Cintiq 27QHD Touch, and obviously you can see how much screen space that I have. You know, I'm not even working kind of full screen. I've had it, you know, that big a lot of the time. You know, sometimes I am zooming in big. I have this image 300 dpi, so you know I can go in nice and big. Painter takes up. This is Painter 2016, by the way, and Painter takes up a lot of screen room in terms of palettes. I have quite a few palettes open here on this side of my screen, and if you're using a smaller screen, you know, then sometimes you can feel swamped with palettes. Same goes for Photoshop as well and some other applications. But using something like the Wacom Cintiq 27QHD Touch, or not even the Touch version, the screen is so large that realistically you can have a lot of palettes open and not have to worry about screen space, because you've just got such a large screen, and that's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I mean, I've got full control of what I'm doing here. I can see everything, and it's not just this program. I'm a digital painter, but I've got a lot of friends who do 3D, video editing, and I've seen them work on this device, and yeah, they have a lot of space as well for palettes and for their applications. And yeah, it really works out well for them. So that's absolutely great. So what else could we do to this? Yeah, we could do anything like that. We could give her the hair colour. I'm really tempted now. But yeah, that was my signature. Or we could just leave it nice, classical and simple. No, I do like that. Maybe we'll just have a quick look to cycling through the different hair colours. Whoa! I always do cycle through a lot just to see what effects you can get and what can happen. I cycle through the ones that I know won't work, but that's just because in Painter you can get surprised. I kind of expect screen and overlay to give me kind of the best effects. There we go. I can select layer content. Yep, and just do that. bit more gentle when I'm coming on the inside. It's a bit like dyeing somebody's hair. In fact, I can unselect that. There we go. Like I said, nice and subtle. Okay, so there are a couple of things on this piece that I'm not completely happy with. So I'm just going to edit those and get them in line. First thing I need to do is just turn off these overhead layers here, just to make sure that I'm not picking colors that are incorrect. And I'm just going to duplicate this layer here. There we go. Turn off the original, and here we go. I could draw on a whole new layer altogether, but it might be nice just to work on this layer in case I want to do any blending. That way it's all clearly on one layer and I don't have to worry about running into any problems or I have to blend the two layers together later on, anything like that. I'm just on one layer, nice and simple, straightforward. Okay, so the first thing I actually want to do is I want to bring the corner of this eye in a bit. Now I could use a nudge tool or the smear brush or something like that, but I'm simply going to zoom in. There we go, with my Cintiq remote, my express key remote there, and just using my ordinary detail airbrush there, just change the size with the preset that I've created. There we go. Lovely. And all I'm doing is recreating those lines, but a bit closer to where I think they should be. Great. Might even darken that up a touch as well. Brilliant. If I zoom out, you can see that's a little closer to how I wanted it. Brilliant. Right, wonderful. Okay, next on my list is this eyebrow here is huge. So, next on my list is just to chop that down a bit in size. There we go. And okay, what I could do now is I could take a darker brush and just quickly just add in just a fleck of detail there on the eyebrow. And on this side too. Key there is just to be very, very subtle. Okay, that's brilliant. Now I do want to try and use the smudge tool here though. Go for quite a big brush. Sometimes with the smudge tool we can get a nice porous kind of quality. Here we go. And it's even bigger. And you'll see what I mean. There we go. There we go. That's quite nice. So in some places we have this little bit like that. That looks great. Okay. So I just want to try and change the shape of this forehead here. I think this actually might be better done with a bit of redrawing. What I want to do is actually goes in a bit here. So I want to just bring the shape of this back out. There we go. Nice and simple. Nothing hard or tricky about this bit. And I also want to blend it in where the hair is there as well. Just grab that colour. Add that highlight back in. Maybe go for a really small brush. Make it look like a couple of small individual hairs as well. And there we go, that's the shape of her forehead. And I'm a lot happier with that. There we go. Remember, I'm not trying to make this perfect, this is just a concept piece. I'm just trying to keep this really rough. Might just add an additional highlight on top of this. There we go. Just add a bit more of a shadow under the chin as well. And try and give us some shape here. There we go. Now, one thing I do want to do is maybe add some extra colours in, and I do want to do this on an extra layer because you're starting to look maybe a bit too green. So I'm just going to go back in and just with another brush, I'm just going to quickly just add some colours in. These are going to look a bit too stark at first. A bit too bright and vivid. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. But don't worry about that. Just think about where the blood would flow. You know, where are the warmest places? Around the eyes, around the nose, the lips, the ears, maybe parts of the throat. Chin is also a really good spot. There we go. That's enough. I mean, obviously you don't want to go mad and do everywhere. And all we're looking to do is give it a slight feeling of a little more colour. There we go. All I'm doing now is I'm cycling through the colours here just to try and find a perfect balance. One last thing that I'd like to do, I'd like to grab this, flatten it all down. I'll just have to grab that actually. Delete this. Just delete a few. Oops. Delete a few unused layers here. There we go. So I'll just grab this. Turn on my keyboard. There we go. Flatten that down. Now the on-screen keyboard's great. I used this before. I used to use it via this little shortcut here, but now I just obviously press the little button on my Wacom there. That's absolutely fantastic. So I've got this flattened now, and what I want to do is, again, whenever I'm making big changes, I tend to just duplicate the layer first. That way if I mess up, I can just delete the layer rather than trying to undo it multiple times. It's easier to just do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to move the eye. The eye isn't in the correct position. I'm just going to grab that and move it across. In fact, we won't even do that. We're going to bring our keyboard back for a second, and we're going to copy and paste it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to move it across that way. There we go. I'm just going to grab my eraser. There we go. Just feather the edge. Just align it a little more with the other eye, and I wanted to move it a bit more forwards. And only once I've done that can you see. At the moment it looks like the head's tutted down a little bit at an angle, and that's nice, and it actually makes it look sorrowful, but while it really works like this, when you view the image a lot smaller, it actually makes her head look really, really wrong. So when I pop that in, then it actually works. But another thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to free transform the selection there. That should just make it a bit bigger as well. So there we go. Perfect. And I'll just hit the tick box there. So you can see the difference that's made. Brilliant. Obviously all this needs blending in a little bit. Okay. So again, just grab my eraser and just, what I might do is just with my eraser just up the ante. And the good thing is, because of the levels on the Wacom pen, I just need to press a little lighter. There we go. And it's feathering the edge of that layer beautifully. There we go. You can really see the difference that makes. In fact, I might even take that back a tiny touch. There we go. Perfect. Turn it off, turn it on. Brilliant. Okay. So with a tiny bit more work, this could be a fully finished image. But I think I'm just going to add to this vignette again. Just add in a tiny bit more shading here. I'll just make sure this is blended. Maybe I'll use my oily blender. Now that these layers are indeed one and the same. Switch over to my airbrush for a second, because I would like this to be a clear transition. Perfect. Right. I think that looks great. We're done. So if you really have enjoyed that as much as I've enjoyed painting it, then hopefully I'll see you in another video. Well, thanks for watching, and be sure to comment, like, and even subscribe to my channel, LAWRENCEcanDRAW.